7:30. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett. Streaming live for you on News 6 Plus and clickorlando.com. I'm Bridgett Ellison. Good to be with you on this Tuesday, January 28th. And we have another nice day lined up for you. We're also getting results for your health today. We have a live interview with the doctor this morning to talk about possibly why cancer rates seem to be higher among younger people right now. And so we'll talk to that professional coming up soon. But we want to get you ready to head out the door. And Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos is in the Pinpoint Weather Center, and we've been talking about the pollen. Candace, I know you're sniffling, I'm sniffling, and so you said everybody might be like, I don't know. Am I sick? Am I congested? Is it allergies? Is it the flu?
I mean, really, that at the end of the day, that's the problem this time of the year. Because the moment you start getting that cold and flu season tied in with the pollen season, you're like, I don't know. Should I be taking
Right.
allergy medication? Should I be taking like cold and flu
It's like,
medications?
okay, no fever. Okay, go to work, go to school.
Check. Okay, I'm throwing the stomach virus because that's not
Oh, ugh. Mm.
whatever it
And you
is.
know what we learned? We learned that the sanitizer does not kill that.
I know.
You have to use
I
soap
know.
and water. Wash your hands, guys.
Just don't get out of the house. All right, let's talk about those temperatures. But the problem is the weather's so nice. You want to be outside and you want to be out and
Yes.
about. Temperatures right now, Bridget, we're in those mid 50s. Now, yesterday we were like in the upper 40s. So it is a little bit warmer this morning than yesterday, but still maybe folks might need a light jacket into the
Mm-hmm.
afternoon. You'll be peeling off all those layers because it will be a really nice sunny dry day. Now, right now we are dealing with a couple of those high level clouds, all from a cold front that is making its way into central Florida. Now, this cold front is really not going to be bringing us a big dose of cold air or a dose of rain, just a little bit of cloud cover this morning, which is why temperatures are a little warmer. But it is going to clear out our skies, and we're going to have another nice day today. We've got a big ridge of high pressure. You can see it there on the bottom of your screen. That high is going to crisscross the state, move out into the Atlantic. Once it does so, that's when the real warmer weather will kick into full gear there. Afternoon temperatures this afternoon will be back into those mid 70s. It will be sunny. It will be seasonal. Now, highs this afternoon, pretty much area wide, will still be in the upper 60s to low 70s. But later on tonight, we are going to get back down into the 40s as far south as about Sanford and Leesburg, primarily because we have those clear skies. So if the clouds weren't in place today, we could have dropped into the 40s, but the cloud cover overnight acting acting kind of like a blanket. So with that being said, it will be a little bit cooler early tomorrow morning, and then that's when that trend will climb as we head into really Friday and into the weekend. We're going to be teetering between about like 78 to about 80 each and every afternoon. Rain chances for the most part look pretty low, maybe about a 20% chance on Saturday. We have another cold front that will have the chance to get here. It's going to lose a lot of its steam. So we don't have a lot of supporting features on the backside of these fronts to really allow those cold fronts to bring in the cold air. And because of that, it looks like our temperature outlook, not only throughout the next 7 days, but throughout the next 2 weeks, could actually be staying much warmer than average. It's not even like that light yellow, light orange color that's kind of like just slightly above average, like maybe upper 70s. It looks like we're going to be well above that average mark into those 80s for a good stretch of the beginning of February. So as we get results here, their full 7-day forecast. If you like the 70s, you're going to like the next few days. Although as we turn the corner into early next week, there's a pretty decent shot that we could actually be holding in those 80s with overnight lows into the 60s. So we're going to really, that pendulum swing, as Florida likes to do, that will go downright bitter cold, highs not getting out of the 40s to now into the 80s, and that's where we'll go. So I think we're going to skip over that nice those mild winter days, because I think those days are behind us, as we're going to really ramp up those temperatures pretty fast.
Mm-hmm. And we still have that nice cool air at night if you want to get out and
Yeah.
exercise or get some things done. It's nice and
Oh yeah.
refreshing. You step out.
Exactly. Have that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that moisture yet in the air, that humidity in the air. So at least it's comfortable. It's comfortably warm. That's going to be the story really into next week.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks, Candace. Looks good.
You're welcome.
All righty. Well, let's check in with traffic safety expert Trooper Steve. He's right over there. And I see you're not in the truck yet. What's up today, Steve?
I'll be headed out at 10 a.m. to go look at just markings, explain the differences between roadway markings and posted signs, how they kind of work together, the relationship there. Are there signs on the road that you have to obey as they are a traffic sign? Whatnot. We'll break it down. We'll talk about all that stuff. Kind of keeping it simple. Just I'm on educational kick this week. So it's all like what we call in the media evergreen, meaning just good stuff that could be used pretty much whenever. So no interviews. I'm trying to get February packed with a bunch of interviews, and we'll see. Hopefully, I can get more people in the truck. We've had a lot of movement around, so all our workload here is just increased just a little bit. So I'm
It's
learning
funny
how to
because
contact people.
when we heard that story this morning from Crystal about the guy saying I had my blinker on, so there's something to learn when it comes to
All the
being in this
time.
traffic. So hey.
Yeah, it's kind of messy. So let's take a look at the roads right now. Earlier crash off of OBT at Principal. Finally got them to move into a parking lot. It was like, come on, guys. We do have a clear roads policy here in the state of Florida, meaning as long as your car is semi-drivable and you're okay, meaning not injured, you are allowed to move that vehicle out of the road. Take some pictures, of course, but get it out of the road so we don't have any secondary crashes. Your I-4 drive times, 34 minutes, Champions Gate to downtown, which is average, no major issues. And we're still looking good. When I zoom out here on the map showing that central portions of Central Florida, predominantly all Orange County here, looking very nice with no major delays that are sticking at least out of the normal. 417 out by Innovation Way. Beautiful sunrise this morning, and the roadways are moving good in 417 in Lake Nona, out by Moss Park, Innovation, even Dowden in the 528. Further north, but routine. Look at that. Solid red as we're headed westbound on I-4 through the Lake Mary Sanford area, but the city of Sanford checking out. And if you're on the road getting ready to head west this morning, you're looking at about a 30-minute drive time from 417 to downtown Orlando, which is at this hour a little high. No major crashes, Bridgett. We've been really good. A lot of the crashes I've been seeing have been occurring mid-afternoon. I don't know what the kick on that is. I get all those push alerts that we push out looking at FHP stuff, and it's always like 12:30, 1 o'clock when there's no news going on. We're getting some nasty stuff out there, so people need to make sure that they're paying attention all the time, please.
All right. Okay, good deal. And so you said you'll be going over some of those markings and signs. Have you figured whereabout you're going to be, or?
At 10 a.m., I'm going to put that truck in drive, and I'm going to pull right out of this parking lot, and we're just going to drive and talk for a little bit.
Okay, cool. All right. And yesterday
All right.
you went to Winter Park. So what happened out there?
So I was confused. I thought I was going to the Winter Park one right here, the shopping center. I was actually headed out to the shopping center off of Aloma.
Okay.
So the one further east by 436. And there's a shopping center there. But when you go to exit to Lakemont, there's a sign that's a stop sign that says no right on red between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. And then no right on red between, I think, an evening time. I forget the time for it, but it's 2-hour increments. So I got out there earlier, took some recording, and I can understand why that's there, because southbound Lakemont backs up so much, and people just try to cut over, and they're pushing through. So they're like, no. You can only make a right during these hours. So to keep in mind, if you're watching this in the Winter Park area, that is a moving violation. $164 on your driver's license if you were to make a left during those 2-hour time periods. So I get why it's there. I can get why it's frustrating, but it's there for a reason.
Yeah. That's a hairy spot right there, because you just, depending on that hour, you might as well just add 10 or extra 15 minutes.
And then I didn't know they have like 2 anchor stores there. So they not only have a Sprouts, but they have an Outback and a refurbished Tijuana Flats now. So it's pretty busy.
It is Tuesday. All right. All right. We're going to sign up, right, for the Super Bowl snack job, right? Are we going to try to
we might as well try.
What's
$1,000?
I mean, we could go.
Can't you add family members? I'll take that. What's it extra cost?
We have to have the same address.
Well, we'll see. I'll see you later.
They're cracking down on sharing memberships. They gotta make that money.
That's what Candace is saying. That's what Candace. She's like, nah.
Oh my goodness! And Candace needs to post the baby video, the Costco baby video she showed us.
She could get a
Is she gonna
membership for
post it?
life just off of her child.
Are you going to post it, Candace?
Candy's going to post it.
I'll repost
She's
it.
going to post it.
She's got to post it. It's the cutest little throwback video of her baby saying that she wants to go to Costco for the samples. So look for that. All right.
The
Thanks,
samples.
guys.
The samples. Bye.
Bye. Okay, we want to take a look at some of the top headlines. Then we're going to take a break and come back and talk to Dr. Live this morning about those cancer rates going up among younger people. But first, of course, we want to get to Tallahassee. Some drama unfolding there with a special session underway ordered by Governor DeSantis. Some top GOP lawmakers, though, are rejecting some of the proposals that he's come up with to fight illegal immigration. They're trying to craft something of their own. And so the governor and the lawmakers are duking it out a bit. News 6's Angie Casada has the latest on that.
The tension began when Governor DeSantis called a special legislative session to address immigration, hurricane relief, and other priorities. But yesterday, lawmakers abruptly ended his session and began their own, solely focused on immigration.
They should not be stunts designed to generate headlines. And the truth is, I dislike special sessions because they inhibit the very thing the legislative process should encourage.
The Trump Act aims to mirror federal immigration policies, but Governor DeSantis is calling it a weak response. He criticized lawmakers on Fox News.
Swampy politics everywhere, and so some of the legislative leaders, they foisted a different bill on the legislature today that guts all of the things you just said. It guts that.
While the legislature defends its approach, the session underscores its significant shift in Florida politics. Lawmakers are asserting independence from the governor, with the House Speaker and Senate President saying they won't be, quote, bullied.
We'll continue to follow what's happening, and we'll have updates throughout the day. Of course, coming up on News 6 at noon as well. Also breaking overnight, another round of executive orders signed by President Trump targeting the military. Those measures including one banning transgender service members, another ordering including reinstating with back pay thousands of service members discharged for refusing the COVID-19 vaccine. Another bans so-called DEI programs in the military and eliminates the use of race or sex-based preferences. And President Trump signed an executive order calling for the creation of a U.S. Iron Dome similar to Israel's defense system. Also this morning, we're following a possible plan for the Timber Scan condos off of Texas Avenue. They have made headlines over the years many times for many different things, such as crime, even fires. But this was a once thriving condo complex that has gone into a lot of disrepair. But many people there say it is all they can afford. News 6's Mark Lehman went out there and talked to some neighbors and has more on possible plans to revamp that whole area.
It's just slowly just deteriorating.
For decades, TimberScan on the Lake condominiums has been plagued with public safety issues. We saw many driving around the 50-year-old complex that's become a dumping ground in some parts. Those who live here have witnessed much worse.
I went to work, and when I came home, it was on fire. The whole road was on fire.
William Armstrong has watched as buildings have burned to the ground and the complex has had constant problems with drugs and violent crime. Over the past decade, Orange County says it's approved millions in support services and owns 38% of the remaining condo units. Now the county is pushing to appoint a receiver to terminate existing condo associations and force a sale of the property to revitalize the area.
What is your main concern if the county does move forward with this plan?
Once you get all these people gone, what's going to happen in their long-term process?
Tracy Walker worries about what's going to happen to her and her neighbors if the plan moves forward, and she plans on taking those concerns directly to commissioners this morning.
It's other options besides just putting us out. It's other options.
So we'll be following along for updates on that as well. Look for that this afternoon on News 6. We're taking a quick break. We'll be right back with a live interview with Dr. Jeffrey Smith from Orlando Health. Keep it here. Welcome back. We're getting results for your health this morning, and we're talking about cancer rates and some interesting data that is out now that shows that certain rates are really up among younger people. Overall, mortality rates are down in some groups, but it's a very mixed bag in some of these new statistics that are out. And we have Dr. Jeffrey Smith, a surgical oncologist with Orlando Health, with us this morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, Bridget. Good to be back with you.
What do you make of some of this recent information that's come out numbers-wise? Because it's always interesting to look at some of these occurrences that it doesn't seem to make sense or correlate. What's happening with younger people in these higher rates of diagnosed cancers?
Yeah, it's certainly something that is really concerning to all of us that are in the oncology world. When I first started practice, it was rare, for example, for seeing that we would see a woman with breast cancer that in her 30s, and now we see patients in their 30s being diagnosed with not only breast cancer but late stage breast cancer almost on a weekly or monthly basis. And so clearly there's trends that are going on that are impacting the patients that we see. And certainly we're seeing a much earlier diagnosis with a lot of patients, which is distressing on a lot of accounts.
And many times, for instance, with, say, a breast screening, like a mammogram, that's something that's not even recommended until you're a little bit older than, say, your early 30s, unless there's some sort of family history. So how is this coming about that we're discovering more of these younger cases? Because I would imagine that they're having to advocate for themselves and say, like, hey, I don't feel well, or maybe they're coming in really sick by the time they're being diagnosed.
Yes, so the current recommendations for mammograms typically start at age 40 for the general population. Now, if a woman has a family history of breast cancer, a lot of times the recommendations consider beginning screening 10 years before the age of the family member that was diagnosed with cancer. So many times that'll move that initial screening up. But you're absolutely right. A lot of times these are presentations where somebody will feel a mass or start having other symptoms, and a lot of times they really need to push and advocate for their own care, because it's not something that we immediately think of in the younger population as a cancer diagnosis. So if you're not feeling well, if there's a new symptom for breast cancer, if you're feeling a new lump, certainly seek care and kind of advocate for additional imaging or additional testing to work that up.
What can you say about some of the genetic testing and trying to find out if you have markers for certain things? What should people do if they're curious about something like that?
Yeah, so within our cancer center, we have a cancer genetics team that does an initial evaluation. The first thing is just looking at your family tree and kind of getting a good background for what might be within your genetic profile. And then there's a variety of different tests. With the expansion of genetic testing, we're able to now do multi-gene panels where many times they'll look at anywhere from 10 to 20 to even 30 different genes that might play a role in terms of someone's risk for cancer. And that's not only breast cancer, but even colorectal cancer. And then there's other genetic profiles that we can look at for other types of cancers as well. With genetic testing, it's a question of having a discussion up front in terms of, are you going to do something with that result? How might that impact you personally? And so it's kind of, you want to begin to think about how some of those results might impact you as you go through that testing process.
And so what about, we've talked about the age range and some of those interesting statistics. What about the disparities between men and women, Black people, white people, and some of these differences in the rates of diagnosis and mortality and things of that nature?
Yeah, so over the past 10 years or so, the early onset cancers, which we define as cancers that are diagnosed in patients that are younger than 50 certainly has been rising over the past 10 years. Again, a distressing finding. It tends to be more in women for reasons that are not completely understood. Now, with respect to treatment, treatment still remains really pretty good. And so, as you had even mentioned during your opening, the mortality rates or the incidence of patients dying from their cancers are actually going down, yet the number of new cancer diagnoses are going up. With respect to your question about race, unfortunately, we do see higher mortality rates for all stage cancers in the African American population. Again, some of that relates to perhaps access to care, but then there's certainly other factors that are still being studied and trying to elucidate better reasons for why that might occur.
Mm-hmm. And what about lifestyle or comorbidities and some of those things that are on the rise among younger people? Is it lifestyle? Is it things that are in the environment, diet, access to healthy foods, nutrition, education? What is it?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. There's kind of been a trend over the past 20 years that we see just a decline in overall health. In the 2000, right around 2000, only about 20% of the U.S. population had one or more chronic illnesses. Now, more than 40% of the U.S. adult population has more than one chronic illness. We see the same rise and increase with respect to obesity, and then also decrease in just overall physical activity. So there's a lot of different things that play into this role. And it brings up a good point because, we started this conversation with talking about screening and getting tested, but ultimately you really want to prevent cancer. That's the best defense. We'd rather not have to treat a young person with an advanced stage breast cancer. So things like diet, nutrition, exercise, lifestyle certainly play a role. One of the things that I think also that we've seen a deterioration in over the past 20, 30 years is a kind of a disconnect with respect to what's called our circadian rhythm. That's our day-night cycle. Mm-hmm. We live indoors a lot now, so we're not exposed to sunlight, fresh air during the day. And then at night, we have lights, screens, TVs, smartphones that emit a very powerful blue light that then disrupts our sleep. And so, that process over days and weeks and months and years really impacts our health in a rather slow way, so we don't feel it on a day-to-day basis, but over time can really impact our population's overall health.
And so, what would be your best advice to a young person who maybe doesn't get their annual exams, or maybe is vaping, or maybe they are eating too much fast food? Or what would be the things that you would tell someone now so that you can't go back and change it, but you have time now to make those changes?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is getting outside and moving. That we talk about formal exercise, but just generally moving more, walking, being outside. With respect to nutrition, it's really kind of having a diet that's as unprocessed as possible, and sometimes that takes a little bit of planning. The reason that fast foods and processed foods are just everywhere is that they're so readily available and it's just easy. But with a little bit of planning, certainly a more natural diet is going to be a healthier diet. And then in terms of just overall, just leading a more natural or healthy lifestyle is going to impact your overall health in a very powerful way.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to put you on the spot, but we've had a lot of talk about things like the food dyes recently. I'm sure you've been following that. But are there things that you're hopeful for in terms of just the way things are produced and made and marketed, in terms of standards, in access and just ingredients to the public?
Yeah, I mean it's a good question, and there's some aspects where I'm optimistic, but then there's other areas where it can be easy to be a little bit more pessimistic. Just recently, the FDA banned the use of red dye food coloring. This was a product that over 30 years ago was shown to be linked with cancer and was actually pulled out of cosmetics because of that link. And for whatever reason, took well over 30 years for that to then be applied to our food sources. And so I do think that there's a growing understanding that kind of our food sources, how our foods are not only grown and produced, but then delivered to us, and how we then consume them, certainly impacts our health and needs to be looked into further. So, it's something that I would like to see more advocacy for, and there's certainly a lot of work to be done.
All right. Well, it's always good to talk to you, Dr. Smith. We appreciate the insight this morning.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me. Have a great
you.
day.
Take care. All righty. Well, there's always so much to talk about there when it comes to your health, and we appreciate his time. And we're out of time, so we'll see you again at noon. Hope you have a great day.